everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Alex, how you doing?
Always good. How about you? Enjoying
I am,
2021?
yeah, so far so good. I can't complain. The markets are on an absolute tear. Um, yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a fun year. I can sense it already.
Yeah. I mean, it's been pretty wild, to be honest. Starting to feel a bit like 2017 again. Um, Checking various wallet trackers and your portfolio on a daily basis with pretty high changes in balance and so on.
Yeah,
That's fun.
I saw that. I think it was Danger on Twitter tweeted about the search volume for Ethereum and for Bitcoin, and I think we are starting to get back to those 2017 uh, peak hysteria or peak interest levels.
Yeah. I checked buy crypto, the term buy crypto, and it's true. It was when I checked, it was at the same level as November 2017.
So the question is, sell now or double down?
Well, I mean, I think there's a fair point to be made about this time perhaps even being even bigger, right? So it's like November 2017 doesn't mean that we are at the same point of the cycle, you know? If
Yeah,
it's going to go even bigger, you're still relatively early. Of course, we have no idea. We're just speculating here, but I don't think history repeats itself, even if it does rhyme.
yeah, I completely agree. I think this time around we've got. I mean, last time we didn't have DeFi. This time we do. So it's a completely different paradigm.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a really big difference, I think.
Yeah. So for anyone who is new here, feel free to ask any questions in the chat on the right. We'll get to them throughout the call. But let's dive right in on some of our dashboards and take a look at how the markets are or how on-chain kind of indicators are moving based on the recent price action.
All right, let's do it. Someone's asking us about how we get such great looking beards. I I, uh, I take it that might be a bit of sarcasm there, but
Yeah, I think so too, because it's I always think like of opening these office hours with like witty things. I never actually do it, but one of the ones was welcome to Danson's office hours, where my scraggly beard keeps getting longer and we dive in on dashboards.
yeah, yeah, it's like New Year's resolution should be to shave, but we're not delivering. Um, okay, can you see my screen?
Yep, let's dive in.
Awesome. So stablecoin master, I think, is a good place to start when looking at the macro picture. The first thing you might want to, or the first thing you might think of, could be the inflow of stablecoins to exchanges. And so this chart over here shows incoming flow versus outgoing, and it's basically calculated in net terms. So whenever you see, an incoming bar, that means there's a net inflow of stablecoins to exchanges, and the opposite for red bars. So you can see the last few days, there's been a lot of inflow to exchanges, and I guess it's pretty clear what the job of those stablecoins is. It's to buy more crypto, presumably. So that seems to be quite that could be one of the reasons, one of the drivers of price. Um, and you can see Binance being the main one, where there's a lot of stablecoins sitting, $2.2 billion, and but 10% of that came in the last 7 days. But basically, every exchange has experienced an inflow over the last 7 days of stablecoins. Bitfinex, SushiSwap, OKX, like all of these exchanges. Only two that are a bit different are Coinbase and Huobi. Coinbase could also be because they're a bit harder to track, so sometimes we have to do a bit of manual tagging to get their wallets right. So it could also be that they just shuffled some stablecoins around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll go through all of the stuff in this dashboard. Maybe some of the things we can look at briefly are the top balance changes. And so you see, if you sort by negative balance change, you can see where the tokens have been flowing out of. So one thing sticks out right away, and that's this Mithril cache that we talked about in the last office hours. So it looks like that might have been short-lived. At least a lot of money has flowed out of those farms. Flipping it around, we see, yeah, Binance, Bitfinex, Binance Deposit, Paxos, Treasury, OKX stablecoins, SushiSwap. So, you know, it seems like the destinations of most of the stablecoins is definitely exchanges. That seems to be one thing you can spot right away. And then the outgoing one seems to be some of these farms that were perhaps a bit opportunistic. We've got
I haven't followed that one too
yeah,
closely, but I think they were I think their incentives ended a few days
right.
ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you see what happens when incentives end.
Yeah.
There's also a big liquidity provider, which is an address that I keep seeing in like a lot of different dashboards. I think we'll get back to that one a bit later. Yeah, you can also see the large stablecoin transactions, and also in just total stablecoin balances per address. You can see that here as well. We don't have to go into this too much, but we can perhaps have a look at the ETH tracker, because this was stablecoins, but of course ETH has been on a tear as well. And so the first thing you might be interested in is, well, what about the exchange flow for Ether? And so incoming and outgoing. And interestingly, there's also been a lot of Ether going into exchanges. So perhaps there's just generally a lot of activity on exchanges where, you know, there's a lot of retail buyers and also probably institutional buyers coming in. And so market makers and so on are kind of sending ETH to exchanges to be prepared to provide liquidity to those. Because obviously the price of Ether has been going upwards. So it's not like they're dumping Ether as such. It doesn't look like that, at least. And so, yeah, actually, let me just pause there if you have any things to add there, Daniel.
No, nothing on my end. I think we can keep scrolling through here and look at other things with ETH.
Yeah, so so that was kind of the stablecoin and Ether on exchanges. Like something unrelated that I came across in this dashboard the other day was this chart that shows contracts deployed on the Ethereum mainnet. And so this is just the total number of new contracts that have been deployed on the Ethereum mainnet over basically all of time. And so it's aggregated per month. And so it peaked basically in October 2020. But the interesting thing is, if you group together these contracts, you know, I've seen people celebrate that. Hey, look at all these contracts being deployed on Ethereum. You know, more than 2 million contracts deployed this month. But it turns out that a huge part of these contracts are actually Kai token or Chi token. I don't know how you pronounce it, but the kind of successor to gas token. So this is basically a token that lets you optimize your gas expenditures. And so you can choose to basically spend some of your Kai token or gas token instead of paying Ether for gas, or at least you can basically get some discounts using this. And the mechanism for how that works is a bit complex. I won't go into that here now. But it's interesting to note that Kai token had a huge year in 2020. So, you know, it basically peaked in October when there were 1.8 million Kai token contracts deployed, and that represented more than 70% of all contracts deployed on Ethereum. So it was really a breakout year for Kai token as such.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's developed by 1inch. Is that right?
yeah, that's right. It is developed by 1inch, and so perhaps this is a good segue to look at the 1inch token, which we also talked about last time. So should we just jump over and do that right away?
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. So yes, when people trade on 1inch, very often they can choose to trade using these Kai tokens, so they spend less gas. And 1inch also airdropped a token on Christmas Eve, as most people are aware of, and we also covered that in our last office hours. And so now I just jumped into Token God mode, the most used dashboard in Nansen, and plugged in 1inch, so we can have a look at what's happening with the token since last time, if there's any recent developments. So I think what a lot of people were thinking about with 1inch was, what's going to happen with this airdrop? How much is the price going to dump? Because people are seemingly dumping these 1inch tokens that they are claiming on the market to a large extent. And I think the price action kind of shows how that development went over time. It does seem like it's hit some. So there's maybe two metrics to look at here. One is obviously the price itself, and the price. I mean, we can look it up just on CoinGecko because that's a familiar destination for many people to look at prices. So it basically, there was a lot of negativity around it because the price went from almost $3 down to below $1, so around 80 cents. But it does seem like it might have bottomed on price. Not to do any sort of attempt at technical analysis or anything like that, but if you consider the price, and then you consider the main driver of the price going down, which would be that people are claiming and then dumping the tokens, it's pretty clear when you look at the on-chain metrics that that's been exhausted. So if we scroll down a bit to top balances, you can look at this distributor contract, which is where people are claiming their 1inch tokens from, the ones that were airdropped to your wallet. And there were 90 million tokens that were received by that distributor address, which are going to be distributed to those who claim it. And you can see that almost 75 million tokens have been claimed, because that's the outgoing tokens from this address. So there's really only 15 million tokens left. And in fact, we could perhaps look at the profiler, because it's going to show us the balance over time. And it's pretty clear that most of the claims were done very fast, and it has not been dropping as steeply since then. So let's see if we just give this a moment so we can load. It's going to show.
And sorry, I'll just tap in here real quick. There was a bit of a lag when you were pulling up this dashboard. So could you just demonstrate how you got to there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Token God mode, 1inch, and then I scrolled down to top balances down here. And I was looking at the address called distributor, because that's where people were claiming their tokens from, the airdrop tokens. And so I was looking at received 90 million and then sent. So received means that this address received 90 million with the intent of distributing them to those who could claim those tokens. And sent means those that actually went out of the 90 million, right, to users. And so now I just click through on profiler over here, which gives us the wallet profiler view for this distributor address. Yeah, and that's what I have here.
That's on the rightmost columns of the top balances table.
Yeah, this is really bad UI. Like, you have to scroll to the right, which is not clear at all, but that's how you have to do it. It's one of those nice secret features that you can take advantage of. But you can see here from its balance that it was at actually the first is interesting, because the first day it shows 26 million right away, because it was actually given the tokens on, I think, just at the beginning of the day, like literally at midnight, the 25th or something like that. And so you don't even see the first data point, which is the 90 million. But it dropped from 90 million straight to 26. And then, it's been going down as more people are claiming, and it's kind of flattening out, right? You see that here. So you don't see a massive influx of new tokens that are being dumped on the market from this distributor contract. That's like, I think, a very important part. You can also, by the way, see the top claimers very easily, because you can just see, well, the largest transactions that this address had. And so the first one is the 90 million tokens that came in from the multisig of 1inch. And then you see the smart LP that claimed 9.7 million. And then you see a bunch of other addresses, some other smart LPs. Yeah, actually, a lot of these smart LPs. I mean, that's why they're called smart LPs, right? They know where to get returns on their capital. Yeah, so I think, it's fair to say that a lot of this claiming and dumping behavior has been exhausted.
For 1inch.
Sorry?
For 1inch?
Yeah, for 1inch. There's only 15 million left. Like, if everyone claims it, and there's only 15 million left. But on day one, really, 60, am I doing the math right? Yes, about 64 million tokens were claimed, like, just the first day.
Yeah, I think in terms of the behavior once people claim it, I think a lot of North American participants sell immediately, because there's some kind of weird tax rules where the minute you claim it is when the price that it gets marked at, not at what you sell at, for your tax liability. So in order to kind of keep those in line, people will claim and then dump right away.
That's really interesting. It's funny how those tax rules can have an impact on behavior.
That's my speculation. I can't say for sure if that drove the majority of selling, but yeah,
it does make sense though.
Yeah.
There's a lot more stuff you could dive into here, but I think maybe another thing you might want to look at if you're going to dive into this token even more is to look at the farms, because that's where the LPs are getting their liquidity rewards from. So you can also look at, actually, I'll just do one example because I think it's quite interesting. So you can look at this farm, and then you go to recipients now, click recipients, and it's going to show the addresses that received 1inch tokens from this contract. And then you can actually see what are they doing with their 1inch tokens. Are they like LPing them? I mean, to some extent they of course are LPing them because that's how they got the rewards. But are they like dumping any of it? Are they sending it to Binance? Like, what are they doing? So here is the top claimers of this farm, the 1inch DAI farm. And so you can click through on the top one that received almost 100,000 1inch tokens. Click on their address here, and it drills down to the wallet profiler, and it's going to show what they're doing with their tokens. This is an ETH Millionaire, so that means they have at least $1 million worth of Ether in their wallet. And this token balance, not so interesting, because as you can see, the numbers are very small, so it's probably just some like dust left in the wallet, but it looks extreme, so just be careful so you check the actual numbers on the token balance. Looking down though to see what they did with their 1inch tokens, you can see, well, first of all, a lot of it came from 1inch exchange and 1inch farms, right? That makes sense. We just found them through one of the farms. And you see a lot of it goes to Binance, like 500,000 to Binance. Okay, that's a lot. And then 702,000 to 1inch exchange. Could be either LPing or dumping the tokens. And if you want to find out which one of those it is, you can look at the individual transactions down here. One thing that I noticed last time I looked at this was that you can actually easily spot which ones are liquidity provisioning transactions and which ones are dumps. Because when they sell them, they go through the router. So this is a sell, and this is a sell, but these ones are LPing. So it's pretty easy to just see, with 1inch in particular, if they're selling or LPing. If you wanted to confirm this, you can go through on the transaction here on Etherscan, and you will see that, hey, they received some LP tokens, which also demonstrates that this is indeed a liquidity provisioning transaction. So this particular address seems to have been LPing, dumping on Binance, and then to a smaller extent, dumping on 1inch itself. It's still more than 100,000 though, so it's like quite a bit that they sold on 1inch, and they also claimed a lot of tokens from the distributor, 918,000 tokens.
Do we have a sense of how much DAI there, or like what the kind of dollar value of this LP position is? I guess we can kind of back calculate here. So if they're in 1inch DAI for 215K, I guess we would need to know what the DAI or like what the 1inch price was when they went in.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at Etherscan for this example, I guess. 240,000 DAI, and then I guess it was 240. It was that amount was equivalent to that back then.
Interesting. So when we were just looking at the top recipients from the 1inch DAI farm,
yeah,
we saw that he had received 100K 1inch. Is that right?
Yeah, from this particular farm. Yeah.
So he's LPing around, or he or she, they are LPing around 500K, and they've already made in the past like week around 100K, over 100K.
Yeah, although these are individual LP. Yeah, actually, I think what you're referring to is like how much do they have right now in the farm, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the return has been so far in the past week.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, like we should have better ways to just calculate this on the fly for you. In the meantime, as a workaround, you could actually just look at the pool itself and then click through on the depositors to the pool, assuming that they're still active in the pool, right?
Right, okay. Maybe we can check that real quick and see if they pop up. If they're top recipient, then they would probably still be top depositor.
I would guess so. So it's an ETH Millionaire. Their address is 0x7939. So let's see if this loads. We should be able to see them. Maybe it's this one. Indeed it is. It's the top one, besides the actual router, which is kind of, obviously it's not a depositor, but the router basically, is responsible for taking sell orders of 1inch into this pool and like dumping them into the pool. So you can sort of ignore the first row as a liquidity provider. It's not really that, but it does still send 1inch tokens into this pool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the top one. 420,000 tokens deposited since December 25th.
So in 10 days, they've made like 20%, roughly, or whatever, 25%.
Yeah. Yep. That sounds right. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah.
The only thing is, of course, the price dumped as well. So, I mean, the alternative cost is quite high.
Yeah, I think that is part of the price turnaround here for 1inch. Certainly, from what I've seen on Twitter, people are reconsidering buying, or people who have been getting back into 1inch have been keeping an eye closely on the APYs of these different pools. And yeah, I mean, 25% in 10 days is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I don't think it's as good in the governance pool, but I could be wrong. Of course, you're not exposed to impermanent loss if you stake in the governance contract.
Yeah. Can we pull up Wallet Profiler for that ETH Millionaire?
Yeah, you just mean the normal one? Or
the normal one.
So, yeah, I guess the way I would do that here is just to actually grab their address and then do my little shortcut. And so, Wallet Profiler and then just the address here.
And can you click through their labels real quick?
Yeah. So ETH Millionaire, heavy DEX trader, pool creator, high balance, high activity. They also hold Uni and AGI, which I have no idea what it is, but more than $1 million of Uni. Active since June, DeFi summer. Pretty active here. Then took a little break in October. Came back with a bang in December. And this is what they've been doing with their Ether. Uniswap, Mooniswap. That's how they got their 1-inch tokens that they claimed, at least from the distributor. Right?
They were participating a lot in Mooniswap. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, DYDX, Paraswap. This is like this is a machine when it comes to using DEXes, no doubt. Uniswap, Mooniswap, DYDX, Paraswap, SushiSwap, 1-inch, Kyber. Yeah, this is a DeFi veteran. I also really like to use this stuff down here. And so I have a tendency to just kind of, since I see this donut chart, I always want to look at, hey, this unknown chunk, right? 13% of the ETH, like where does that come from? So I tend to sort by ETH volume in and just, get a sense of what that is. Monolith, do you know what that is?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, maybe it's a project. Maybe someone in the chat knows. Monolith. I guess it's some kind of project. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Can we pull up the address for that?
Yeah. We should have a link to the wallet profiler directly here, but I guess for now. Oh wait, Paraswap 2. We found a missing tag. Etherscan out tagged us on this one. That's not very common. Yeah, we should make a note to add that. Actually, maybe we do have it. It's just displaying a different tag, because we might have multiple tags on it. So I'm going to bring it up here to have a look at it real quick. Monolith. Yeah, okay, we do have it. Paraswap. It's just that it was it surfaced this monolith label because it sort of thinks that's a more unique label than Paraswap. But we can make a note to highlight Paraswap here instead. That's why, by the way, that it was caught by this chart, Paraswap, right? Anyway, that was kind of a side note. Anything else interested? There's a medium DEX trader here. There's a token millionaire here. And there's a heavy DEX trader here. So it could be that those belong to the same entity. It's just different wallets for the same entity. Another thing I like to look at is, if the Ether went somewhere, sometimes it goes to exchange deposit wallets. In this case, it doesn't look like it. Maybe if I do token transactions out. Yeah, here's a Binance deposit wallet. And that's always fun because Binance deposit wallets tend to be static over time. So you can often look at those and see if they have other addresses that they deposited to the same deposit address. If that makes sense. Yeah, this is one of these rabbit holes you can keep going down. I promise I'll stop after this.
No, this is great. This is always interesting to see how a master on-chain sleuth does his work.
So they've had 14 token transactions to this Binance deposit wallet. Binance deposit means that it's a user wallet on Binance. And so let's look at this and see if they have deposited from other wallets into the same address. So you can look at ETH first in just volume and see this is our guy, ETH Millionaire. I guess that's the same one. 779, right? Let me just, that's 79. It says down to the left there.
Maybe just slow down just a little bit because the screen share is a bit slow to respond.
Cool.
But okay. Keep going,
Yeah, so we're looking at this Binance deposit now. And I'm interested in seeing if there are other wallets that have deposited to the same Binance deposit wallet, because typically that means they belong to the same entity. And right away you see, hey, this is one of the curve investors. Okay, so number 4, like, okay, I'm not sure exactly. We could, you could keep going on that one as well and drill down and see how much this curve investor received from the curve token distribution, for example. But that's one lead. It seems to be one of the curve investors, which is like, obviously you've narrowed it down like by a lot just by knowing that. You can also look at if there are token transactions incoming, and there's actually a few more. Like there's ETH Millionaire, that's one we looked at initially. There's a pool creator, Elite DEX trader. Elite DEX trader is quite rare because they're in the top 1% on both frequency and volume traded on DEXs. There's a heavy DEX trader. So my guess, just looking at this, I would say these wallets probably belong to the same entity, and it is actually one of the curve investors, and I don't know which one, but one of them.
Yeah, and they've also been around for a while here, just based on, or I'm assuming this like Augur and Loom and Bat and all that were transactions from like 2017 or 2018, but those are some legacy shit coins.
That's actually another trick you can do with this table. If you sort by ETH transactions out, it will include the tokens that it transacted with. So the Curve token, Singularity Net token, 1inch token, etc. You could also do wallet profilers for those tokens if you wanted to understand this wallet even better. So, for example, I could take this and I could say, hey, show me the wallet profiler for the 1inch token on the same Binance deposit. So just gonna do that real quick. That was you don't have to do it the same way, but you could just plug that address into the wallet profiler for token dashboard. I use shortcuts all the time because it just makes me move around faster, but we also want to improve our links. But so here you can see which addresses deposited 1inch tokens into this Binance deposit. And yeah, it's the ETH Millionaire. So yeah, so I think we've kind of come full circle on this particular wallet. Yeah, they were big on 1inch, they were big on Curve, and they obviously used all these different DEXes. So and they're actually one of the Curve investors. So you can narrow it down from that, I guess.
Nice. This was an unexpected rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, which is kind of almost a bit frustrating when you look at all this data because there's so many rabbit holes to go down. But yeah, I wonder. Yeah. I'm sure someone will know who this is just from that information alone. I don't know.
So I have a question about. So we saw that they had made quite a bit in reward tokens from LPing.
Yeah.
When we label someone as a smart LP, is that purely based on transaction fees that they've netted from being an LP?
Yes, that's right. At the moment it is, yeah.
So it doesn't include the reward tokens that they've gotten?
No, not at the moment. But of course it should. So this just makes them an even smarter LP. The fact that they've been able to make money through liquidity farming.
Right. So someone who's a smart LP either is an LP like in large enough size that they're making, over 100K in transaction volume, or they've been in the pool for an extremely long period of time.
Yeah, that's right. That's okay. Right. So I think in a V2 of that smart LP label, it will also include the liquidity rewards, but it's done somewhat idiosyncratically from the different projects, so it's not that easy to track.
Right. Yeah. The reason why I wanted to clarify is because it's a question that I've received pretty often. Like people are always curious if like the smart LPs are the ones going after these opportunities with high incentivization, but not necessarily, but basically like when you go into like a pool 2 opportunity, the goal is that the rewards will make up for the risk of impermanent loss that you're getting.
Yeah.
And
So I
if you're
mean,
getting, yeah, go ahead.
so there's no doubt we should include the rewards, because in some cases you might actually lose money through impermanent loss and so on, but you make up for it, as you say, with the liquidity rewards. So you should definitely look at the net, and we are going to do that. But some of these labels are kind of like you have to just ship one version and then you incrementally make it better.
Yeah. Hamid just asked in the chat, is it possible to do top depositors for ETH in an address rather than for a token?
Yeah, good question. At the moment, it's not, but it should be. So, yeah, can you make a note of that, Daniel?
Yeah, I had made a note of it before. I think that's on the backlog.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks, Hamid, for bringing that up.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, there's a lot of other things we can have a look at, like smart money, what's been happening on the dashboards there. You could have a look at that. I've literally not looked at this before, so it'll be kind of a live thing here as well. We could also look at live DEX trades. We could look at wrap Bitcoin. Maybe if you have any thoughts, or people in the chat have any thoughts on what is most interesting.
Yeah, definitely encourage anyone in the chat to bring things up. I think there's a couple things we could do here. One is just thinking about like the top of the rabbit hole, like how to find ideas that one could pursue to find trade ideas. And I think one of those things could be going to something like CoinGecko, going to the DeFi list, sorting by top changes over the past week or something like that.
When you say DeFi list, that's this one, right? Or no, wait, that's.
Let's see, your screen's still loading.
Yeah, I think it's this one.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
I clicked this one up here, DeFi.
Yep, perfect.
And I scroll down here, right? And then you want to click. You want to sort by 7 days.
Yeah, just because I think we've got
cool
balance changes over 7 days, so it'd be easy to look into. So Hegic has been on an absolute tear over the past week. I think maybe we can take a peek at Hegic and our Hegic and see what the balance changes have looked like on chain in the past week based on this price action.
That's cool. So Hegic, and you said our Hegic, right?
Yeah, just to check. I think our Hegic had some issues, some complications with the redemption. I'm not really sure exactly, but it might be interesting to look at.
Okay, so maybe we can start with Hegic. First thing I noticed, I mean, just looking at the tokens on exchanges, it used to be pretty much all Uniswap. That has radically changed. It has dropped quite a bit, and Binance is now the biggest holder of Hegic tokens among the exchanges. And also looks like SushiSwap has had a pretty big rise since about Christmas. Maybe they started incentivizing it.
Yeah, was that with Onsen?
Yeah, that could be, right? Could that be one of the reasons why it has started pumping as well?
Yeah, very, very likely. I'm not sure how to get confirmation. Whatever. I mean, this is just, I guess, ways for people to find ideas. So, if anyone is interested in something like that, they could look into or I guess we can pull it up as well. But you could then find out what's getting incentivized, and if you see the volume increasing significantly on an exchange like SushiSwap, when it previously didn't have much volume, it's probably because there's some sort of incentive program or some reason that it's attracting a lot of liquidity, and that could be a reason for you to consider LPing there.
Yeah, indeed, it looks like it's here, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I can click through here, and there we go. Let's see. Indeed, December 24th, 25th. So I guess they switched it on 24th or 25th, right?
Yeah.
I guess 25th. So you can see it sort of matches nicely that uptick there. Yeah, SushiSwap. Interesting.
It's really cool seeing things like that, because it really validates this idea that token rewards do work. I think over the summer and near, I guess when kind of the DeFi summer bubble popped in September, October, there was this kind of concern that these liquidity incentives were useless or were not enough to create like permanent benefits for a community and an ecosystem. But here you see something like these onsen rewards attracting liquidity onto SushiSwap in a pretty significant way, which then generates trading fees for all sushi holders. And you create this interesting dynamic where all sushi holders are being rewarded from the increased trading fees that are generated.
Yep. I think just to add to that, I think another very important factor is that a lot of the trades now go through DEX aggregators like Matcha and 1inch.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't even need to know the SushiSwap brand to get your order routed through SushiSwap. It just has the deepest liquidity, so that's where all the trades go. So I think it would have been quite different if you didn't have aggregators and like you would sort of have the whole segment of traders go from like Uniswap as their destination to SushiSwap. I think a lot of the SushiSwap trades come because of the DEX aggregators.
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I would be curious to see the amount of volume done through aggregators versus directly on a DEX when gas spikes, because one issue with aggregators, or at least with 1inch, is that the gas fee for any transaction is pretty high, and it's definitely cheaper to go directly on an exchange, even if your fill price is not as good as if you use an aggregator. But in periods of like when gas spikes, like it did this past weekend, I'm not sure what it is now, but like on Sunday and Monday, it was pretty insane. It made more sense to trade directly on a DEX.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Uniswap is very gas efficient, and I guess SushiSwap is as well, it being a fork. So yeah, definitely makes sense in those cases. What I personally do is like I often simply just go on token god mode and see where the liquidity is. So if it's clear that it's like most of it's on SushiSwap, then I might just go to SushiSwap directly in those circumstances where gas is very high. If I see most of it's on Uniswap, then I just go to Uniswap.
That's interesting.
So in this case, if I wanted to buy or sell Hegic, I'd be better off going to SushiSwap because there's like twice as much liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a pretty like actionable insight just from looking at this. You know, you could of course go to DEX aggregator as well to let the aggregator take care of it for you, but as you said, you know, gas costs could make that a lot more expensive.
Yeah, maybe we can take a quick peek at balance changes over the past 7 days and see if anyone had any notable inflows in the past 7 days.
Yeah, okay. So I like to just sort so you can sort of get either the large changes or the inflows and the outflows. So maybe let's start by the outflows, like where did the tokens go or come from? Looks like a lot of them came from WBTC staking. So maybe basically token holders unstaking, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Or getting rewards. I'm not sure how it works if you can get Hegic rewards. I don't think so. From that, I think you only get our Hegic as rewards, right? So I don't think you get straight up Hegic tokens from staking.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
I guess they just withdrew their Hegic tokens. There's also this gradual token swap, which is the conversion contract from like our Hegic to Hegic. So this just means that people actually swapped our Hegic tokens and then they received Hegic tokens from that contract, which I think we will see afterwards if we're going to look at the R Hegic for token god mode as well. This is pretty interesting. Hegic Development Fund minus 900,000. Okay. Oh, I wonder where that went. Maybe we can flip it around and have a look. So Hegic ETH staking Hegic Pool 3. I don't know what this one is actually. Maybe we can have a look afterwards. And then this, I think, is not a great label, but it does look like a compound related thing, which is likely a fork of compound, because I don't think Hegic is on compound itself. So perhaps that's something we can have a look at afterwards. Okay, so looks like tokens coming out of the wrapped Bitcoin staking from the Hegic swap contract. Lots of vested tokens being released, and also the development fund sending out 900,000. You could. I'm curious on this one. I think I want to have a look at this to see where it went. In fact, maybe it was. I think there was some kind of ecosystem funding going on, where they basically sent tokens to some grant recipients or something like that.
Maybe I did see some I guess new new developments with, I think, Zilot, and obviously Whiteheart launched I think a week or two ago. So maybe some tokens flowing there.
This number 888,000 does sound like someone Hegic related sending it.
Well, maybe that's someone. Isn't that a lot? The size of a lot? Like.
Oh yeah.
So maybe they just
sending it into
pulled out
a lot. Well, actually, you wouldn't see the lot, I think. Here.
Maybe they were withdrawing one full lot.
Well, if we scroll down and you can see top transactions, so yeah, actually you see these lot managers, right? I guess that makes sense. And we would probably see that maker voter, I think they were labeled as, on one of these pages. Indeed, I guess it's this one, right? Yeah, so I think they were actually staking. Okay.
Oh, that makes sense, because they were like the tokens left their wallet. There was a net balance, like a net withdrawal, I guess.
Yeah.
Since it was transferring from their wallet to a staking contract.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, Hegic Development Fund. I think this is Molly's wallet, isn't it? So this is just 900,000 Hegic tokens going into Molly's wallet. So that we answered that right away. Like that was the 900,000 change we saw here. It seems like it was just one transaction that went to Molly.
Maybe we can pull up wallet profiler for token and see if it went anywhere after that.
Yeah, on Hegic.
Although I guess we would see it on here.
Yeah. So let's see. I think it was Hegic.eth, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, because there's a few different ways we could get there. I was just hoping we would see Hegic.eth among the top ones. I don't think we see it. So perhaps we can just like grab the address by going to the transaction, I suppose. I mean, this is kind of a detour, but it's this one, the Hegic deployer, or Hegic.eth. And I'm going to use this shortcut I have, WPT, paste in the address, and then just add the Hegic symbol. And it's going to load the wallet profiler for Hegic for that specific address.
In token symbol, can you put in either the ticker or the token address, or does it have to be the ticker?
No, it has to be the symbol. Okay, so this is our token balance over time. Let's look at most of it came from the Hegic Development Fund. But now, since we're looking for like a specific time period, it might be better to sort this by time. So I'm going to click this here, and we can see, well, the first transactions happened in October, and the last ones happened January 5th, which is that today or? No, it's yesterday. Okay. So they got the 900,000. Oh, here we go. So this is the grants, right? These are the 88,888 batch transactions to grant recipients, because I recognize this ENS name as one of the grant recipients I saw on
I
Twitter.
think they launched something where it was an options auto exerciser. So right
Oh,
now with
cool.
Hegic, if your option is in the money, you need to actually go on the platform and exercise it before it expires in order
Mm,
to, well, exercise it and get your and close out the position.
yeah.
But the auto exerciser it auto exercises it, so you don't need to monitor when your option is expiring.
Yeah, I've often thought about that actually. I mean, that would probably get the LPs a bit more wrecked if you had such a thing. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's a good innovation. That's
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, I think it's necessary. I think otherwise,
Yeah,
I think it holds back some purchasing.
agree.
Um, yeah, I don't know if it's based on a time or a price target, or if it's just right at the very end that it auto exercises it.
Yeah, not sure. These ones we could label as like grant recipients, by the way, like Hegic grant recipient.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, just to show that they're kind of in the Hegic ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. You can
I'll
also
make a note
see
of that.
maybe this little section down here. Maybe people missed that, but it can be quite useful to know just like how many different addresses have sent Hegic to this Hegic.eth address, the Hegic deployer, and how many has it distributed to. So you can also, I mean, sorting by tokens again, you can actually see two of those addresses right away. The development fund is where they get most of their Hegic from. There's also the Hegic initial offering. And there's, I guess, a third, which I think I can find if I just sort by the kind of
Well, it's probably the
from to.
initial ETH that went in to deploy the contract or something.
Well, this is only Hegic tokens, so it doesn't show the ETH.
Oh, got it.
But we could, yeah, you could look at the ETH as well. So the bonding curve, they got 1,000. I guess they were like participating in the bonding curve to see that it worked or something, or just genuinely like participating somehow. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to look this up on the normal wallet profiler because you mentioned Ether, because they will have received quite a bit of Ether too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
So we
guess
can just
from the IBCO or whatever it was called.
yeah, the initial bonding
Bonding curve.
curve offering.
I think that's what it was. It was either an IBCO or some other variation of it.
Mm-hmm. They were very active in April. White Heart. Yeah, maybe they got some Ether from the White Heart contract, right? That makes sense. So you can go down here and look at ETH volume in. You see indeed the Hegic initial offering. Actually, I think so. We have the name Hegic initial offering. We didn't associate with the entity Hegic. If we had done that, then most of this would have been labeled Hegic. So that's like a little action item there to label that as well. And then the White Heart deployer is why we see this White Heart here, 1,370 Ether. look at this though, Degen Spartan. Degen Spartan sending 100 Ether to Molly.
I feel like he's done some psyops on Hegic.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we can check Degen Spartan's Hegic holdings,
Yeah. Let's
like
just
wallet
bring up.
profiler for token, and see what he's done with his Hegic.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. So this and then do Hegic, right? I wanted to see their normal wallet profiler as well. Oh, this is kind of funny as well. You see Degen Spartan's activity.
Well, I didn't realize that he used to have that SNX delegate.eth
Yeah.
address.
So when you see a star, that means they used to have the CNS name, but they don't anymore. So they sent it to someone else. He's also a multisig owner. I didn't know that. Something to dig into. That means he's one of the signers of some multisig. Token Millionaire, CDP creator, high balance, high activity, and of course, medium DEX trader. He's staking Aave. Interesting. Has some synth BTC, some synth USD, DAI, X Sushi, SNX, R Hegic, Y Curve, Kai Token. Yeah, and then I think some of this stuff, as you go down the list, is probably like dust, or even maybe people just like airdropping tokens to him to get the exposure. Doesn't have a very clear sleeping pattern. Seems to be awake all the time except these hours. I actually don't think I've looked a lot of this address before. But yeah, I mean, you can check this out. Personally, not. This might surprise you, but I'm actually not interested in looking at individuals' wallets. I am more interested in looking at funds and corporations and so on. So I think if people want to keep looking at this wallet, they can do that separately. But yeah, you wanted to look at the Hegic holdings, right?
So okay.
So let's look at this quickly. This is wallet profiler for token, selecting Hegic, and looks like they got some of them SushiSwap, some of them Uniswap, and then again this Hegic initial offering. So it looks like they participated in that initial offering. If we sort by time, the timeline becomes a bit clearer. Their first tokens came from that Hegic initial offering, and then 1 month later, it goes to SushiSwap, and we can check the transaction to verify that that was liquidity provisioning. It was not selling. It was like providing liquidity. And then they got some from the staking rewards, okay, and some from the router. Yeah, okay, actually this is, I guess, when they're just claiming back from LPing. Yeah. Okay, so that's, PsyOps or not, they definitely participated in the Hegic initial offering at least, and then provided liquidity for it.
Yeah, although this is back to November 12th, so it's been a while since they've been active.
That is true with this particular address. It is definitely not the only address they control.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's probably a decent place to wrap it up, unless there's anything else. I see our 0xB1 listed on that smart money dashboard you just had.
Yeah. I've not looked at the smart money dashboard. I actually just wanted to give people some, like a warning about the smart money dashboard, because there are some projects that basically perform swaps on Uniswap, but then sending the sort of resulting tokens you get from the swap to like a smart money wallet. So it looks like the smart wallet is accumulating a token, and they do that so that it gives the impression that some infamous or good smart money address is accumulating this token, which is just a scam token. So you should never blindly jump into any of these tokens just from seeing it in such a dashboard. In some cases, it could be that it's really just a scam token that wants to get up on your radar. So you obviously need to do a bit of research before you just dive right into some random token you see in this dashboard.
Yeah. David in the chat asks, can you show how to view multi-coin ARB swaps using one transaction? Like from 0xB wallet. Could you clarify a bit more, David?
How to view them, or how to actually perform the swap?
I guess he means just to view them. I think probably the answer is just on Etherscan for now. Yeah, I don't think we specifically highlight multi-coin ARBs on any of our dashboards.
Yeah, we don't. It's very simplistic the way we show the DEX trades at the moment, but we are definitely looking at improving the way we show DEX trades, and perhaps rolling up when you see multiple different coins being traded in one. Because the way you would see it here is you would see it as separate lines for each of the different token components in such a trade. But yeah, it's not super clear how you should display it in another way. But yeah, that's it's a good question though.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for joining us for the first office hours of 2021. We look forward to doing more of these throughout the year. We'll probably keep up to our weekly cadence on doing these. If you ever have any feedback or requests or anything like that at times other than our office hours, feel free to message us on Discord or on Twitter. And anything else to add, Alex?
No, I think someone's saying that the contracts deployed is a phenomenal feature. I'm not sure what that referred to.
That was for the ETH tracker.
Oh, nice, cool. Oh yeah, of course. I think I recognize who said that as well. Maybe it's John. Cool. Nice to see you, John, in the chat.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you very much, and see you
Take
next
care.
Wednesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.